Welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show that looks at the highs and the lows around world football. This weekend, Chris Hamill is in the hot seat, and we start this week with the talking point, and it comes from across Europe. It's Cristiano Ronaldo, who is back on flames, isn't he, in Serie A. Now, we're not going to talk about Juve losing to Hellas Verona. That's an ERU speciality, so go and check that out. Go and check that out. And the rest of the Serie A title race, if you want to hear more about that, it'll be on ERU in 1 hour. But Cristiano Ronaldo, the talking point, Hamill, he's on fuego.
Yes, only 3 Premier League games this week, so we wanted to add a little more value. And we were having a debate this morning in the office as to whether Cristiano Ronaldo is once again the finest number 9 in world football. You're going to go through some other candidates in just a moment, but I'm going to reel off some numbers because we love some numbers on this show, don't we? So he's got 20 goals in 20 Serie A games this season. He scored the most goals of any forward in 2020 on 11, and he's the quickest ever to 50 Juve goals.
Easy, innit?
Now, to even be having this debate about one of the finest goal scorers of all time can feel a little redundant, I guess, but last season was convincingly outscored by the likes of Quagliarella. So he's having another Indian summer, isn't he, Cristiano Ronaldo? He's taking it to the next level in Turin this campaign. He scored against every team in Serie A already. That is quite frankly sickening. Overall, we've got 34 goals in 34 games this season. That's all competitions. 7 of them have been penalties.
Yeah,
he always gets levelled with the Penaldo claim, doesn't he? But you know, we've been backing the likes of Ciro Immobile, and he's scored 9. So that is just a feature of some of the more prominent attackers in Italy. He's now scored in 10 consecutive games, and this is what really brought him on our radars this morning as we debated what this talking point should be. The first Juve player in history to accomplish this feat. And he's now scored 20 plus goals in his last 11 consecutive seasons, winning 17 points for Juve this season alone.
Incredible.
Right. Okay, so they're the numbers that add context to this debate we're about to have. Saying that, is he still in the top 3 number 9s at current in world football? You've got some names.
I mean, it is an incredible accomplishment, isn't it? 11 consecutive seasons, 20 plus goals. I want to throw some other candidates in this season, though. Well, let's stick in Italy to start with, because you already mentioned one of them, Ciro Immobile, who is the top scorer in Europe, so has to be mentioned. We've also got Romelu Lukaku performing miracles with Inter Milan, 17 goals in 24 appearances. That's 35% of Inter's strikes, so not too bad. Over in Germany, a couple of big names over there, obviously Bobby Lewandowski. Got to talk about him. 22 Bundesliga goals in 21 starts, an incredible strike rate. Timo Werner as well, going great guns, 20 goals. In the Premier League, we've got Aguero, not too bad, not having his best season ever, but averaging a goal, I think, every 75 minutes for his 16 strikes this season. Jay Vards as well, 17 goals over in Spain. Don't think we should talk about Messi for this one, really, but Karim Benzema having an upturn on last season, probably not in this contention, given that he's only got 13, but he is playing much better. Kylian Mbappe, obviously, is going to get plaudits, 15 goals, but he is in the Uber Eats, so it is slightly easier. Didn't mention Bobby Firmino either in there. Maybe not the best goal scorer, but a fabulous number 9. So out of those names we've mentioned there, don't know if there's any other ones, but who would you go for as your top 3? Would Cristiano breach it?
No, I think that's a fairly obvious shortlist. I think the criteria here should be how important that player is to their side as well, right? Not just out-and-out goals. Otherwise, the answer is Ciro Immobile, which is not the correct answer. Well, I think my criteria for this would be how important is said player to his side. And at the moment, Cristiano Ronaldo is responsible for 45% of Juve's goals. And his per 90 numbers are really, really impressive this campaign, as they have been, you know, throughout his whole career. But at the age of 34, 35, lest we forget, he's producing 5.6 shots per 90, 1.7 key passes, and 2 dribbles. Just firmly embedded into this side now. Maybe people didn't give him enough time to do so last campaign. Had a downturn by his standards, still over 20 league goals, like we've established, but looks ready to take the cap on Cannonier, maybe off Ciro Immobile's hands if he carries on with his hot streak, the aforementioned hot streak. Does he make my top 3, Joseph? Yeah, probably at the moment. I think we're in short supply of elite number 9s across Europe's top 5, especially with Luis Suarez's injury, Marcus Rashford's injury. It probably goes for me, Robert Lewandowski. I think he's still the best number 9 in world football. Harry Kane's injury. Timo Werner, very up and coming. I think Timo Werner and Romelu Lukaku on an even sort of keel, but maybe they take third and fourth. Robert Lewandowski, Cristiano Ronaldo, and one of those two, who are not carrying their side, but they're going through a real good purple patch, aren't they? What about you?
Yeah, Bobby Lewandowski number 1 for me. I think just consistent over the years and even more so this season. Cristiano, does he make my top 3? I want to have a little shout for Erling Braut Haaland. I don't think he's top 3 right now because he's only just joined the league and his goal scoring form is so freakish, but he is right up there as the most in form, I would say, this season. I do want to say Bobby Firmino. I know he's only scored 8 goals and got 7 assists, which doesn't seem that impressive, but I think he's so important for Liverpool, who are the best team in Europe. So I'm going to say Robert Lewandowski. Then at 2, I'm coming in with Roberto Firmino.
Oh, God.
Let the pelters begin. And then at 3, I'm going for Cristiano Ronaldo.
Okay.
I'm getting absolute pelters for that.
But that is your opinion, Joe. And in the words of Sam Obaseki, if it's my opinion, it can't be wrong. There we have it. Let us know your top 3 strikers in the comments below. Let's move on to some Premier League football then. Jody Shepherd then brings us back to English shores with Everton, and they're in the ascendancy, aren't they, mate?
Yes, they are, under Carlo Ancelotti, absolutely flying, and another win at Goodison Park as they defeated the Eagles 3-1. They took the lead through a pretty decent volley from Bernard before another Jordan Pickford howler. I mean, Benteke, well, it must be his first goal in 18 years, it felt like.
Test the keeper.
Really not great bit of goalkeeping, but nevertheless, didn't really matter, did it? Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin stepped up to wrap up the win for the Toffees, who are now unbeaten in 5 Premier League games. In fact, since Carlo Ancelotti took over, only Liverpool have taken more points than them. They've taken 24. Everton have taken 17, which is really impressive.
It's incredible.
Well done to Carlo Ancelotti, and they're good value for their win in this game. An XG of 2.8 to just under 1 in favour of the host. No real surprise given that Palace have no strikers again. But Palace, despite me saying that, they were still in the game at stages. 54% possession, 10 shots, but as usual, nobody able to convert it. Ancelotti's side now up to 7th in the league. He is just working miracles there, given that they were floating around relegation when he came in. Just 5 points off the top 4. They could well do it. Of course, he was happy about the result.
Result is really important for us, above all, after a performance that, in my opinion, was not so good for 60 minutes. And after that, we were able, and Richarlison, we were able to do a fantastic counter-attack.
And no doubt will be ecstatic with his man of the match in this game as well, which was, of course, Richarlison, the Brazilian, having 5 shots here, 3 on target, also taking 7 touches in the opposition box, which is noteworthy because he's still progressing as an out-and-out forward, isn't he? Normally comes in from wide, doing it pretty darn well in Ancelotti's new 4-4-2 system. Calvert-Lewin, impressive once again. Do you take him to the Euros on this form?
Depends on the injuries. At the moment, we've got no fit strikers other than him and Ings, so yeah.
And our system as well. Do you need to win headers? Well, Calvert-Lewin is your man. He won 5 in this game. I think only Benteke won more apart from the central defenders. 4 shots, 2 on target, 1 goal and 1 assist here. He now has 11 league goals for the season, the most for an English player at Everton in a single campaign since Andrew Johnson in 2006-07, and I can remember a substantial amount of them being penalties. Does Calvert-Lewin take penalties? Not sure. The 22-year-old's highest return prior to the season was the year before, where he got 6, so a massive upgrade numbers-wise. Digne also very useful in this game, like he normally is. An awful lot of progression still comes down his side, doesn't it? 3 key passes, although he does take free kicks and corners as well, doesn't he? 2 dribbles and 5 tackles and interceptions, so not giving up on any front in this 90. As for Palace, boring. Woeful, aren't they? We're a good defensive outfit, but it doesn't matter if you're a good defensive outfit if you can't score. And now they're not a good defensive outfit because they're without a clean sheet in 10 league matches, the longest run in the competition. And it's maybe a little bit unsurprising that they're waning physically. Against Everton, they named their oldest ever starting XI in the Premier League at 31. 1, so some fresh faces needed. One of these more experienced heads that didn't have his greatest game was Gary Cahill. Now, he was a pretty astute signing. I liked it at the time, but maybe more rotation needed there to keep his legs fresh. So the entire Palace defence dribbled past 5 times, Cahill committing 4 fouls and failing to make a tackle or interception. And of course, Richarlison sent him for an absolute hot dog for that goal. Ward also poor in this game, completing just 62% of his passes. So it's pretty attritional stuff back there for Palace, just clearing their lines. Now, the Eagles are only 6 points above the drop, having played a game more than their rivals in that vicinity. So, guys, our question to you is, should Hodgson keep his job? The answer is definitely yes.
Definitely.
But what do you guys think? Palace fans, are you starting to get a little bit disgruntled? Let us know in the comments below.
Before we move on to our first losers, if you are new to the channel and enjoying winners and losers, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on. Let's get on to them first losers then. It's Watford, suggested by HornetMan21.
Yeah, they missed a chance to get out of the relegation zone, didn't they, by drawing 1-1 away at Brighton, with Mariappa's calamitous own goal cancelling out Doucouré's pretty stunning opener. That was the Frenchman's 4th of the season. Only Deeney tops him in the goal-scoring charts at Watford, so he's hitting form at the right time, isn't he? Likely drag his side out of that situation. The Hornets won 4 of their first 7 league games under Nigel Pearson, but have now gone 5 games without a win in all competitions. Of course, that includes that rather shocking FA Cup exit to League One side Tranmere. Shouldn't be totally surprised by the results. That is Watford throwing away points. They've now dropped 17 points from winning positions in the Premier League this season, including 8 in their last 3 games. And that is decisive stuff, isn't it? Only West Ham with 19 have dropped more. And even the own goal wasn't totally unexpected. They've conceded 6 since the start of 18-19. That's more than any other side. In truth, probably didn't deserve anything more from this game. Not sure what you thought. Wasn't the best game, I can tell you that for free. They only had 5 shots with 2 on target to Brighton's 10. But even then, Brighton only tested the keeper twice, which is pretty unfamiliar territory for them. So it certainly wasn't a classic. XG had it down at 0.7 to 0.3. No one deserved a goal. That's what you should take away from this fixture. One positive though, Doucouré's now scored 3 in his last 6, as many as he had in the previous 34. So just to really emphasise that point from earlier. Brighton though, not been great themselves, have they?
No, Brighton are struggling pretty badly at the moment as well. They haven't won a game in 7 attempts now in 2020. That's 4 draws and 3 losses. And Potter's going to have some serious concerns. Let's not forget, if you go back to early November, they were 8th in the Premier League, and it's kind of capitulated ever since he got given, after that run, they gave him a 6-year deal, which is always a bit of a risk. And post that run, it's all gone wrong. They've picked up 12 points from 13 Premier League games. They're now 15th, just 3 points above the drop zone. And with a 6-year deal on the table, I'm sure a few Brighton nerves are starting to twitch a little bit. And I'm sure Graham Potter will have been extremely frustrated about the goal they conceded, because it was a good strike by Doucouré, but why are they allowing him to travel 40 yards through the centre of the pitch? I'm not too sure. They've kept just 1 clean sheet in 15 Premier League games now. That is not good enough at all to stay in the division. In fact, they haven't won a single time when they've gone behind in 24 attempts in the Premier League either, so not much fighting spirit there. I do have to give some props to some players though. Solly March looked pretty decent. 7 tackles and interceptions, 4 aerial duels, 1 dribble, 1 key pass. Etienne Capoue, though, 8 tackles and interceptions on the day, 2 dribbles, 1 key pass. Unbelievable numbers from the ex-Spurs man. A couple of tough fixtures though, especially for Brighton, I think more so. They've got to travel to Sheffield United, which is a really tough game. Watford take on Man United, so I wouldn't have too much worries there.
Easy 3 points.
But Sheffield United, that's a difficult game for Brighton, and Potter needs to turn it around and turn it around quickly.
Rounding off the winners then, it's a suggestion from Chris Asto-Quilk. Welcome to the club. This feels like your first suggestion. Don't remember saying it. Strong name though. Sheffield United.
Yes, up the blades. Chris Wilder continues to work absolute miracles at Bramall Lane, beating Bournemouth 2-1 here. Their 3rd win in 5, and they are up to 5th in the Premier League, 2 points above Tottenham Hotspur, who do have a game in hand, but they are firmly in the hunt for European football next season, which is just incredible given how small their budget is. Chris Wilder is an absolute genius, isn't he? Now, they do have a great record against Bournemouth. They've lost one of their previous 15 meetings. The last time they lost to them was 1987. So it was partly expected, given how poor Bournemouth have been over the last few months. But nevertheless, let's take nothing away from them, because they were well worth their win. 54% possession, 16 shots with 6 on target, and that's actually more than the home side usually average. So well done to Chris Wilder for managing to break down that Bournemouth backline. They did go behind though, didn't they? In the 13th minute, from goal scorer number 13, Callum Wilson, his 7th Premier League goal this season. He went through a bit of a dry patch, didn't he? That's an understatement. I think between September and January he didn't score a goal. But he is back now. I think he's got 2 in his last 3, so that's much, much better from Callum Wilson. He was overall pretty solid. 2 shots, 1 on target, 2 key passes, 6 aerial duels won. We talk about Dominic Calvert-Lewin being strong in the air. I think he won 5 on the weekend. So it's an illustration of how well he played. Another important player on the day, Ryan Fraser, 4 key passes, 2 dribbles. It's great to see him back after a long-term layout. Josh King also came back, didn't he? He missed 9 games prior to this, heavily linked with Manchester United. I think he was pretty gutted to miss out on that move. Made a 20-minute cameo in this game. But yet again, another week without a win for Eddie Howe. And here's what he had to say after the match.
I think I think all players understand how football works and the transfer windows, and there's such a lot for players to take in these days, especially at this level with the media so interested in every moment and every detail. But the players are here, the window is shut, and they're very focused, as I said, on the team, on our situation. There can be no thought of individual situations when you're in the position that we're in.
Sheffield United's goal was very timely and changed this tide, didn't it? Came just before half-time. 34-year-old evergreen Billy Sharp grabbing the equaliser. That was his 2nd of the season. The other was also against Bournemouth.
And it was identical.
Scourge of the cherries, the cherry scourger. Sharp's last 34 league goals now have come from inside the box. A run stretching back to October 2017. Not the most mobile of blokes, is he? No. Big barrel-chested forward, but give him a chance from 12 yards out and he'll probably bag. The comeback was then secured in the 85th minute with both substitutes, that's Mousset and Lundstrom, linking up for the goal to give Wilder all 3 points. Well, you say that, Sheffield United substitutes have now scored 5 goals this season, more than any other side in the Premier League.
Wilder.
Beautiful indeed, beautiful intervention from Chris Wilder. You might call him the Stocksbridge Tinkerman. They've only lost 7 of their first 25 Premier League games this season. That's the fewest from a newly promoted side since Fulham in 2001-2, who lost 6. And I think their season bottomed out. I can't really see that happening to Sheffield United this campaign. Fulham went on to finish 13th, so let's see if they can surpass that. They're now 2 points behind Chelsea and 2 points above Spurs, having played 1 more game than both sides. 12 matches left though, so a lot of points to play for. Can they top Wolves' 57 points from last season, which was actually the highest tally for a newly promoted side since Ipswich's record of 66 in 2001? So not actually a record, a silver medal. But since then, you know, who remembers Ipswich from 2001? Probably just Adam Templeman. Up next for Sheffield United, not the most challenging run either. They've come through some tough ties, like you said, against Liverpool, against City. They've got Brighton, Norwich and Newcastle. So 3 very winnable games for them there. Bournemouth, on the other hand, have Burnley, Chelsea, then they're away to Liverpool. So Howe would have wanted to pick up at least a point in this game, I imagine. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind Bournemouth being relegated. That's how I'm going to end this
horrible
section.
bastard.
Won't mind it.
Moving on to our final losers. You guys have been asking for them for literally years.
Relentless.
It's Leeds United, submitted by Jaspreet123. I'm delighted. I'm buzzing.
Together.
Oh, yeah. What a shame.
I've been watching Take Us Home, so I'm a bit of a de facto Leeds fan now. Got to get behind Bielsa, haven't you? But yeah, our second loser of the week is firmly Leeds. Their unbelievable slump in form continues following that 2-0 away loss to Nottingham Forest. And the result now means that the Argentinians men have only won twice since the 10th of December. Wow. When victory over Hull City put them top of the table after winning 7 straight games.
What a shame.
Shocking stuff. Capitulating a little bit earlier than last season.
Yeah.
So taking bottling to the next level. But a first half strike from Sammy Amiobi, what a blast from the past he is, and then an injury time finish from Tyler Walker consign Leeds to their 7th defeat of the season and 4th in their last 5 games. The Whites are now only 2nd on goal difference ahead of a resurgent Fulham, having been 11 points ahead of the Cottagers in December, and they've now fallen 4 points behind first place West Bromwich Albion, who experienced a bit of a slump themselves, didn't they?
How they
they've
didn't
put
capitalise.
together back-to-back victories now. Exactly. It's not just their own bad form. It's the fact they could have been topped by a good margin. Nottingham Forest strengthening their own bid for promotion with this victory. They now sit 4th in the table on 54 points, just 1 point behind Leeds. In fact, there's only 5 points between 2nd place and 7th. I think Bristol City are currently in 7th, meaning this could turn out to be one of the tightest promotion bids in recent years. I mean, the quicker the Whites can get winter recruit Jean-Kevin Augustin firing on all cylinders, who featured for 20 minutes in this game, the better, because they're really struggling to convert their chances in front of goal, aren't they? And this is what Bielsa had to say, and his translator, about him.
But Kevin, in the last 8 months,
jugó 3 partidos.
played 3 full matches.
Entonces, cuando un jugador en 6 meses juega 3 partidos,
So when one player in this period play just 3 matches, full matches,
las conclusiones sobre el estado de forma
the conclusion about his fitness level
son muy claras.
are clear.
Yeah, as usual, in the game, Leeds were very dominant on the ball. 70% possession, but just 1 shot on target from 13 attempts, which is just not good enough, is it? I mean, Forest had 6 shots on target. 10 of Leeds' shots came from inside the box, and only 1 of them hit the target. Just not good enough from Patrick Bamford in particular, who I know Bielsa is a massive fan of, but surely he has to make way at some stage for Jean-Kevin Augustin. He's failed to score in 4 of his last 5 games. I mean, previously to that, Leeds, as a team, had failed to score 3 in their last 26 games. So the forward line need to start banging some goals, and quickly. I want to talk about the forgotten man, though, like you mentioned, Sammy Amiobi. What a performance on the day from him. He won 9 of his 13 aerial duels, completed 3 dribbles, won 60% of his tackles, and scored with that near-post effort that I don't know what on God's green earth Kiko Casilla is thinking, diving the wrong way.
Sounds like some good Midlands football, that. He had to win 9 headers. Just pump it up to Sammy.
But
You're right.
Kiko Casilla of recent times has not been his usual self,
No.
has he? That's the 10th straight game he has conceded in, and it means now that Leeds have trailed at some point in 8 of their last 9 matches, having failed to score first in any game in 2020, which is not promotion-worthy form, let alone automatic promotion-worthy form. They are in drastic areas now, and Bielsa needs to turn it around quickly, because last season this exact same thing happened maybe 3 months later, where his intense football takes a toll on the team and they just...
Yeah, I mean, he strongly disagrees with that, doesn't he? Because he still points towards the mileage that he's getting out of his players on the pitch.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's become a mentality thing at Leeds. It's, or a cultural thing that they just can't quite shake. Obviously, he's transformed the club inside and out, but they didn't get Dan James last January, and that probably cost them in a big way. They've got Augustin this time. He can be the difference maker. When given minutes, he's a very, very good player. So maybe he can arrest this slump in form, but it's probably going to take something special from an individual player, because that's a team flailing, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all over the place. But do you think Leeds United will get promoted this season? Vote up in the poll right there to decide. So that's it from this week's episode of Winners and Losers. Hamo, anything to plug?
Yeah, go check out the latest Extra Time podcast and the latest episode of Journeyman. It's absolutely riveting. A follow-up on the sort of trials and tribulations that Bury, the club and their fans are going through right now. Well worth a watch. And until next week, bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.